Think of a time when you experienced something so amazing that it literally stopped you in your tracks. Maybe you got tears in your eyes, or a lump in your throat, or you felt emotion building up in your chest. For me, sometimes I feel like my heart is going to explode. It almost hurts. I have these experiences, and I'm sure you do too, these sensations. But until recently, I didn't know they were the emotion of awe. Now, science defines awe as being in the presence of something so vast that your brain has to adjust itself just to make sense of it. Awe touches our hearts and breaks us open just a little bit. In moments of awe, we experience our emotions. It touches us physically, mentally, spiritually, and of course, in our most amazing and close relationships. Moments of awe seize us. I was lucky enough to be raised by an awe expert. My daddy made sure that my entire childhood was punctuated by lots of time in the outdoors. We paddled rivers, we climbed peaks, we went backpacking. In fact, he even made me ski across an entire mountain range. And I would arrive home from these adventures sunburned and exhausted, and fall into bed on Sunday night, and my mom would tuck me in. And in the morning, I would sleep like a log, as you can imagine, and in the morning I would wake up, and I don't know what it was, but I just felt a little more sure of myself. I could stand a little taller, and I knew myself and my world a lot better. And it was a good darn thing, because one needs those skills in middle school. Since I was a teenager, I have been involved in outdoor leadership training with kids from farming communities. And all of my time as volunteer as an adult has been spent taking big groups of kids in the outdoors. And time again, whether it's under a night sky or by a campfire, a crackling campfire, along a beautiful river, I notice there's a transformation. A transformation takes place in those kids. It's as if their hearts are softened somehow, like Mother Nature has rock tumbled the edges off of them. Even the most hard-shelled ones can't stand up to a night sky. I witnessed this transformation in over 2,000 kids over the years, and so I really thought there's something going on here. There was something bigger at play. And the halo effect that lived in me long after I came home from a trip certainly lived in them. Somehow, they just seemed brighter. Their faces were lit up. They were calmer, more connected to each other, and certainly more connected to their world. They seemed to care about it and fall in love with it. So I realized it really seemed like it was important, this stuff, this outdoor stuff, these awe-inspiring moments. So in my day job, I'm a consultant and coach, and I experience firsthand that even though you may be really successful in your career, sometimes we as a society feel like we're searching, like there's a hole in us, like we don't take time enough up from our handheld devices and our email to really step into these awe-inspiring experiences. And the data backs this up. Poll from Gallup says that 70% of us are disengaged, basically going through the motions in our work. A survey from the National Science Foundation says loneliness has doubled, up from 20% in 1980 to 40% recently. And of course, it's probably worse than that, because when you're lonely, it's not like you want to admit it. So the light went on for me that adults need awe as much as kids. So a couple of years ago, I got to be in the audience where my hero, Dr. Dr. Keltner, presented the neuroscience of awe. And there in the room that day, he presented the science of what I had literally witnessed in myself and all those kids. I, that day, got tears in my eyes because I thought, finally, someone's going to understand it because there's science behind it. And lots of other scientists are getting in the game right now to understand the impact of the outdoors, of these awe-inspiring experiences. My friend at the Sierra Club is a returning vet. He's 6'7", Stacy Bear, and is combined with Dr. Dr. Keltner to create what they call awe-based therapy, and proving how this time in nature and that these awe-inspiring experiences ease the stress of post-traumatic stress disorder in veterans and in kids. The science is pretty cool. So awe makes you more connected to yourself and to others. In the presence of a grand view, you experience the overview effect. You can have perspective on what really matters and on the parts that don't matter. I call it authenticity. You get a little closer to your truth. Awe makes you less impatient. And you're not feeling as if you're running behind a bus like we all feel most of the time in that anxiety. In the rapt attention, we get this feeling that time is expanding. And so it makes us be able to exhale just a little bit. Awe, this is my favorite one for corporate America, awe makes us more humble. When we are in the presence of this vastness, our self-perception shrinks, our ego shrinks down, and finally there's room for others, for other-centeredness. So awe actually makes us more altruistic. Awe actually increases our life expectancy from 6 to 10 years. I have been in pursuit of awe my entire life. I've traveled the globe. I've climbed mountains on 4 continents. I've ridden my bike across the US. I've even meditated with monks in Bhutan. If I tell the truth, I've quit my job 4 times to pursue adventures, all headed off for a little more awe. And then one afternoon, everything changed in a moment. I was going on a walk just in a park near my house with a friend of mine, and he was really wound up. It was a rainy day, and I thought maybe the rain will help him calm down. He was really wound up, and he was talking nonstop. And we were walking along this swollen river. All was good. I still couldn't get a word in edgewise. And then all of a sudden, he stopped. He saw this beautiful moss-covered branch with this tiny little mushroom sticking up from it. I saw the tears well up in his eyes. He was literally seized by that tiny little mushroom. All of a sudden, I saw him relax. I could feel that same transformation that I'd been witnessing in myself and others happened right there. This was huge for me, and it's actually really huge for you as well. There in that minute, he went through that same shift. And it turns out that the science says that your brain and body doesn't know the difference between standing on the edge of the Grand Canyon and staring intently, studying a tiny little mushroom. Your body and brain chemistry get the exact same benefits from these everyday experiences. Awe was much more simple and accessible than I thought. I call it backyard awe. And it has amazing implications for the quality of our lives. I realize I don't have to travel the world and go to far off lands to experience it. I don't have to spend a lot of money on expeditions. Of course, I still like my travel, but it's so amazing to realize that we can have those experiences closer to home. And there's an inexhaustible and untapped resource just waiting for us to tune in. The world is full of magic things, patiently waiting for our senses to grow sharper. And in order to sharpen my senses, I've created a daily awe practice, and so can you. I've begun collecting sunrises. Every day, rain or shine, there I am watching as the big sun lights up the world. I have a friend who simply counts the number of cute dogs that she sees as her awe practice. My husband watches the reflection on the buildings as he walks to work in the downtown. Still another friend, Mark, loves galleries, and he goes and takes pictures, and then he looks at one and studies each one each day. So here's a few ideas for how you can cultivate awe for yourself. Take an awe walk. Simply slow down, leave your phone behind. Let your attention focus in on that tiny little water droplet that's there on the flower petal. Listen, lean in and listen to all the levels of sounds that are there in one moment. You can do an awe sit. I did this last year with Girl Scouts, the third graders, and one little girl who was sitting on a log focused so intently on a piece of dried up old fungus, and she said, "Isn't it amazing there's beauty in everything?" Awe is actually much simpler than meditation. Or you can just describe an awe-inspiring moment to your friend. Use all the vivid detail that you can, and the mirror neurons in your brain actually extend that exact experience in your partner. And as you talk about awe, it gains an energy and an excitement, and it lives on in you like a diamond or a jewel. And it continues to emit those good feelings. So awe is available for each of us every day, right outside our door. My invitation is for you to join me in this way of looking at the world. Slow down and allow yourself to enjoy a little backyard awe and watch the richness of your life unfold. Thank you.